Hey, how's everything?
Good. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So Norma, let me just tell you a little bit about what we're doing here.
Sure.
What I'm trying to set up here. So, I'm originally a filmmaker. I started off in psychology when I went to school in Stony Brook University. And over the years, I've just been kind of driven to storytelling and finding different mediums to doing that. And I had COVID pretty badly in 2020, where I was out for a few months actually, and it was really something that kind of changed my perspective. And I was like, why isn't there more positive, inspiring stories out there? Like that's something that we definitely need. So my mission now is to curate a place where there's tons of positive, inspiring stories in all different types of mediums. You know, written, audio, visual, art, and just kind of bring up creatives around that. I love storytelling, and that's pretty much why I started Limit Break Media as a means to fund this mission. And Limit Break Stories is part of this this project that I'm doing to try to get stories and get people's stories out there and try to inspire some people. So that's why I'm very grateful that you came on today. I know it's not an easy thing to share your story, to be vulnerable. So I appreciate you doing that. And I just wanted to know a little bit about yourself. Yeah.
Well, I turned 59 today. So I'm
That's your birthday.
good that I made another year. Thank you.
Very nice.
You know, grandmother, mother of two grown adult children. And I'm also an independent filmmaker. I attended Capital Community College in Hartford, Connecticut, where I was born, but I was raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
And
from the Bronx, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I'm from the Bronx, by the way.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah.
I went back, I went back to where I was born because I still had family that was still there.
Sure.
And there, to take care of them. They were my mother's older siblings. I was the chosen one. And I uprooted and went back to take care of them and help out. And while I was there, Capital offered up a communication media program. And that's where I got into film and television. And I put my writing skills, and telling stories into full force. Sorry. Shucks.
That's okay.
To full force.
Sure.
And it became exciting to me, learning the equipment and learning editing and sound and all of those things. And
there's a lot that goes into it.
I'm sorry?
There's a lot that goes into it.
It really is. It really is. And I did this, after 50, after 40, because both of my children were in college at the time. So I was an empty nester. And I'm going back to school, and it was always on my mind to tell my story, what happened into the service, because I was always repeating it, always visualizing it, but I always kept it in the rear because it was so traumatizing.
Sure.
And then finally, you talk about psychology. My mother had no problem with going to a psychiatrist. She always instilled mental health in me. I mean, I would push her. She was a polio survivor.
Okay.
So I would push her in her wheelchair to her psychiatrist, but never once, did she offer me help. It only came when I became a teenager and the hormones started changing and she didn't, understand what was going on with me, that I was crazy. So as I got older, I realized, wow, I need help. I needed help. I lost my father a month before my 5th birthday.
Wow.
In 1968. So he died January 22nd in 68. And my birthday was February 25th. So a month later. And no one thought about, my psyche. child, a daughter, a baby losing their father.
Mm.
So it took a long time. It took a long time for me to realize that I needed help.
It's an uphill battle at that
It
point.
really,
If you're that young. Yeah. I mean, what pushed you to go into the military?
being told to get out, my
Mm.
mother pushing me out of the nest, leave. I don't want you to think that you have to take care of me,
Mm.
you know. And I wanted to take care of her. I wanted to be there. She was my best friend,
Yeah.
you know. And being told, I mean, I'm paying bills, I'm giving her rent, I'm being a good girl, but being told to leave, get out so much, I finally said, okay, I'll get out. And I left under those circumstances,
Yeah. At
and it
the
was
time. Yeah.
it was hard.
Sure. Yeah. It's because you don't really know what the intentions are. You're young at the time. And you can't really tell what maybe she's thinking. She wants you to go out and be independent and not have to rely on you for stuff. So yeah, it's hard at the time. You can't see any of that, right? Yeah. So it's just difficult. How was it? How was your relationship with her after that?
Honestly, when I went into the service, it got better. I think
Yeah.
absence made the heart grow fonder,
Okay.
but then when I came home, it started again,
Mm.
and it was very confusing again. And I don't know. I really, she's gone now. And I tried to ask her before she passed in 2013,
Mm.
why did you want me gone so bad?
Mm.
You know, but I never got an answer. So to this day, all I can hear is, I didn't want you to think you have to take care of me,
Mm.
but by this time, I didn't want to hear that. All I wanted to hear was, I'm glad you're home. I love you. And I'm sorry you left.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I talked to her. I still speak to her spirit. And she's actually come to let me know that she's okay and that she's watching over me. So that makes me feel good to see her smile,
Mm.
to let me know that she's okay. Because a lot of people tell me their mothers never come to them,
Mm.
in the afterlife. But my mother has reached out to let me know that she is okay and she's happy,
That's
So
awesome.
that makes me really feel good, you know. It
When,
really does.
when was that at a certain part of your life that she came to you, or?
She comes to me recent. I mean, I write all my dreams down and I keep a journal of them. And as early as last week, she's come to me.
Oh
You
wow.
know, yeah. I mean, I've had a dream where I'm walking past the window, and she's sitting there looking at TV, and we're talking. Well, I'm talking to her. She never talks. She
Mm.
just smiles.
Just
You
listen.
know, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
she's there, and it feels good. It really feels good to see that she's okay.
That's
But
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's on the one hand, she might have thought that she was a burden to you. And then on the other hand, you didn't think of it that way, right? You wanted to do that. You felt fulfilled, helping her.
I
So
did.
yeah, it's hard. It's very hard. And, communication is not something that's easy, especially for family. I know that from firsthand. Yeah. Communication is very difficult because we're so close,
It really is.
Yeah.
She admitted that, her family was dysfunctional. She was 15 years old,
Mm.
knowing what dysfunctional meant, and it really, it baffled me because we couldn't get along. I'm an only child. So why is it so hard for us to get along and communicate. We would write letters
Mm.
to one another, and I'd slide them under the door, and she'd slide them under the door and read them. That's how we communicated a lot. And she always instilled in me to write. And we would write letters. My memoir would show where I would write her letters.
Mm.
I never put the letters up there. I would just show that I sent her a letter from South Carolina, Fort Jackson, or Fort Benjamin Harrison, or the fort that I was on. But that was really something that she believed in. And that's how we communicated. And even though she called me crazy or would say that she didn't understand what I was saying, and I think that was because I was so trying to pour it all out at once that maybe I didn't understand what I was trying to say. But
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility,
I'm glad I went into the service. I got a chance to travel and meet new people and go outside that East New York world of mine. So I'm very thankful that she did push me out, but it was just the way that she did it made me seem so insignificant to her, Yeah.
But she did push you out, and then you did go out there. What places have you traveled? What places have you seen?
Oh, wow. Germany, Spain, Holland.
Nice.
I mean, you see me smiling when I think about the most beautiful people in the world. I mean, it was awesome.
Right.
It was awesome. And I speak about it in my memoir that's, be released this March.
Yeah.
Beautiful people. Just the Europeans were just, beautiful towards me. Some weren't, but overall it was awesome.
The food.
Oh, come on, Ronnie. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. To actually taste Italian food and Chinese food, literally made by Chinese and Italians in Germany.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. The German food, heavy. It was like soul food. Their soul food became the bratwurst and the the cordon bleu.
Schnitzel, yeah. All that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Went to Frankfurt and seeing the Eiffel Tower. Those were like weekend trips for say, for instance, like we would go to Atlantic City. So my weekend trip to Germany, going to Frankfurt or going to Spain, about $50 to $100, take a bus ride to go see, these beautiful places, to see blue waters and white sand beaches. And the naked people on the beach without any, hang-ups. It was just awesome.
What do you think that kind of did for your perspective when you came back here?
Ooh, changed a great deal.
Yeah.
One was, say, for instance, driving. I learned how to drive on the Autobahn.
Oh, yes.
And the respect over there was just unbelievable. There's no respect on the roadways here,
Oh.
And if there's an accident and you didn't stop, you could get fined or arrested if you didn't help someone. When they say fast lane, they mean you stay out of the fast lane if you can't keep up.
Right.
And they actually have a question on their test, their driving test, written test, and they say, "What is the number one cause of accidents?" Americans. That's the answer, and it's true. It's so true. So when I came back home, I mean, I had road rage. What are you doing? What are you doing? You
Expecting
know,
people to to drive,
yeah,
be courteous. Yeah.
no courtesy whatsoever.
Yeah.
It changed. It definitely changed. I stopped driving. I'm at my age now. I just don't want to drive anymore because I have so much respect for the roads, and I just read a book if I'm in a lift. You
Right.
know,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, this day and age, you don't really have to have a car anymore. You know,
you
if
don't.
yeah,
You really don't.
yeah, it helps. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, do you talk about any of these stories from your travels in your memoir? Like any no,
I I do. It was very therapeutic for me
mm,
um, to finally um, get this story out. And I mean, it's so detailed, Ronnie. I mean, I can actually hear the voices from my drill sergeants,
wow,
you know, to the soldiers, to the stories, to the killings, to the threats.
mm,
Um, I think that's what makes it so personal, you know, because and people wanting to do the story and on put it on film is because I'm so detailed.
mm,
Um, what transpired from people from soldiers trying to kill their commanding officers to my sexual assault and being set up by a female soldier,
mm,
you know. Um, and it was, like I said, other than me talking to one of the greatest therapists, Amanda Wagner in Georgia,
yeah,
who helped me pull some of these pent up stories out of me.
sure,
Um, I cried writing this memoir again.
yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, I had a publication assistant that, um, you know, he made it very tedious and hard for me when he kept getting things wrong. He's no longer my
okay,
publication assistant, but it was like reliving it over and over and
mm,
over again. I'm like, you have to help me. You have to help me get through this.
mm,
I don't know if it was because he was male, you know, because I have a female now who's
mm,
very sympathetic. Um, and I don't know if it had anything to do with his age, you know, but she's very sympathetic, empathetic, and is really helping, you know, it's almost done. We're
right,
in cover design stage now. So
okay,
I'll be hearing from her by the end of next week, and we're going to print. So she's helped me at the final stage
mm.
of this process. Yeah.
It's a long
Yeah.
process to get a book published, and most people wouldn't realize how much actually goes into it from
Re-
from even just writing the draft to getting
Oh,
it published. It's 1,000 steps. Yeah.
it took me because I like to write.
Mm,
So I wrote, took about 5 composition books. I literally write it out
mm,
and then I type it out and then I change it and then I go back and, you know, so that was the biggest part there. And then going into the publication part it was tedious.
that's
It,
rough when you think
it,
about how many times you're writing it out and reliving this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but very therapeutic, if I must say.
Mm,
You know, I felt embarrassed.
mm,
You know, I had a moral compass. You know, I always wanted to please my mom. I always wanted her to be proud of me. So
sure.
when I did go in, you know, the service, I wasn't sleeping around. I mean, I wasn't sleeping around where when I grew up.
Mm,
So when I went off to during wartime in a war zone,
mm,
um, I didn't want to look at men as my daddy or my savior. I
mm,
could stand on my own and be strong. You
mhm.
know, I could fight just like anyone else could fight, you know? And it it was tough. It was really tough, because I was in military intelligence,
Mm.
and we were the infantry unit was on the base with us, so we would see them, we would come out and I kept accountability of them, thousands. It was almost 100 to 1.
Mm.
You know, imagine that, 100 women and 10,000 men. So
And where was this?
I was in Eder Ober, Eder Oberstein, Germany, and Wildflecken, Germany,
Mm.
near the Berlin. We were right there near the Berlin Wall, East and West Germany.
Okay.
Frankfurt. We would actually, captains were having bombs placed under their vehicles,
Wow.
because they didn't believe in the war and didn't want us there. And we actually had missiles pointing at us. The missiles would reach us in 7 minutes, but it took us 14 minutes to get off the fort.
Mm.
So we were always in the line of fire.
Mm.
And I had no idea when I enlisted. I had no idea. And as an only child, they should not have accepted me into the service. But I knew that, but I just didn't care.
Well,
I
you
think
were young.
19.
Yeah.
Tomorrow will have been 40 years. And I enlisted.
Wow.
40 years, February 26th. I was walking down the walkway from Cypress Hills Projects in East New York, Brooklyn.
Mm.
And I could just feel my mother watching me. I could feel it. I was with the recruiter taking me to raise my hand
Mm.
again.
Wow. 40 years. What's the, when you think back on that time when you were going off to Germany, did you have any idea where your life would be at this point? The huge like transformation that you've had?
No. I just knew that I couldn't quit. I wouldn't quit. I was not going to quit. It made me stronger.
Mm-hmm.
It made me be able to get along with different cultures, diversity. Even though growing up in Connecticut, whites and blacks, we grew up together.
Mm.
So it wasn't very hard for me. I think, I didn't know. Ronnie.
Yeah. But
Really.
yeah, it's interesting where life takes us, right? Where where everything has gone to, everything is leading up to this. You probably wouldn't have made the book if you weren't very interested in writing as a kid, right?
That is so true.
Yeah.
So true. I mean, I could write short films. I could write things that I wanted to see come to life. Like, for example, I have a film starring Kene Holliday, Handle Your Business.
Hmm.
I wanted drugs. I didn't want to see heroin or cocaine in where I grew up, and I maybe just marijuana. That was all you could sell. That's an herb. That's something that we could live with and tolerate.
Sure.
But people say, "Oh, that's not realistic." And I said, "Look, now marijuana is legal.
Sure.
Cocaine is almost hard to come by, because of all of the things that are going on. So I don't know if I manifested it or what, but it was a vision that I would write about those things. My imagination wanted me to write about those things, but then when it came to that reality, that was the hard part.
Mm.
but it's not hard anymore. I faced it and I did it, and I'm excited about it, you know?
Yeah, you've changed your perspective on it. You know,
Yes,
you went from being fearful of it to overcoming it, and now you know what it is, right?
I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great that you kind of learned to express yourself that way. I feel a lot of people, they don't get a chance to do that, or they
True.
don't get the practice, I'd say, you know, at a young age to do that. And when you think about that, if you haven't written anything for 30 years and you just start out, you know, you're going to be 30 years old and it's going to it's going to be very hard to get into it, you know. It's not like you've been doing, or like if you've been sketching since you're a little kid, it's different, or learning a language, you know. It's yeah, that's good that you're able to express yourself that way.
I'll be able to leave I have a 13-year-old grandson and a 5-year-old grandson.
Mm.
And I keep thinking about them learning the story about my mom, and because my mother took on the U.S. Supreme Court, I was considered an illegitimate child.
Okay.
Um, my mother fought for Social Security for children born out of wedlock.
Mm.
And they now know that part of history, that, you know, she took on the U.S. Supreme Court 1968 when my dad died because he was married.
Sure.
And 1972, we won. And, you know, so, and I went into the service during the Reagan era.
Hmm.
And I don't tell many people this, but Ronald Reagan actually cut benefits for children, so that were receiving Social Security up until the age of 21.
Mm.
He cut it to now 18.
Mm.
Yeah. So when I went, I said, "You mean to tell me when I went into the service, he cut it?" You know, because I didn't go to college. You
Yeah.
know, and my mother kept saying, "Baby, you know, I want you to go to college." And she would go. She has her bachelor's, and she was 10 credits from her master's degree. And she would take me to LaGuardia College. I'm saying,
Okay.
"This is so boring. This is boring." And then I finally see uh, Bill Cosby's Different World, and I said, "Oh wow! You mean to tell me that's what it was like if I had gone away?" You know, so it was like, oh man, when you're young and you have no one to bounce things off of, or friends to bounce things off of or speak with, especially when they're coming from dysfunction, you
Sure.
know, because most of my friends, they were escaping and leaving for the Air Force and the Marines and the Army. You know, it's like, wow, you know, wow. But yeah,
They really sell it as kind of like a sense of purpose, and it's, you know, there, and for vulnerable children, especially who kind of have to get out of their household and escape, it's like the perfect place to go because they take care of everything, right? And my mom was in the Air Force as well. She was like, she was homeless basically before that, and she just went into the military, and then the only reason she got out is because she was pregnant with me, so that's why she got out back in the
wow,
70s. Yeah, or back in
wow.
the 80s rather. Yeah, late 80s. Yeah,
Everyone has a story. Wow, that's something. I
yeah.
would look. Wow, wow. Don't make me cry, Ronnie.
Mm. I'm trying to get her to write this out and tell these stories of her life as well.
I
So
wish you could,
I think it's
because
important.
I
Yeah,
needed my story to females that just wanted to serve, you know, and they can tell their backstories, which would be great. Wow,
mm,
awesome.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's very important, and that's why I really appreciate you coming on and telling your story, and just trying to, even if it's not the full story, right? We can talk for hours probably,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good that you're putting yourself out there like this for other people. Because when you think about it, out of 1,000 people, how many people are going to be writing a book and giving their story? on a big enough platform that can actually help people. It's not a
Right.
lot, yeah, because it's scary. It's very scary to do.
I
Yeah,
look forward to sending you a copy. So
sure.
please, send me your address because I will
Yes.
send you a copy to, read and have in your library.
Yes, definitely. Have you thought about doing any Audible or audio recording of it?
Well, they have the ebook
Mhm.
as well, but maybe that's something I could look into. Huh.
Sure. I mean, think about it. It's just a different form of expressing yourself, just speaking about it instead of writing it. So you can basically do, have little, um, insights into the storytelling that you maybe wouldn't be able to give in the writing. So you can
Would
talk about that. Yeah.
also benefit because the disabilities act my mother
Mhm.
was in full force with. She's the one that got those little ramps on
Mm,
the sidewalks. Her her people. So if it comes to anything like that, now you've given me something else to consider. Thanks, Ronnie.
sure.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely look into that.
Yeah, definitely. And Norma, I hope everything works out with this book. I wish you all the best going forward. I definitely want to read it, so please, I'll give you my info, and you can send it to me, and I'll
You
help promote it. Um,
I will promote you as well.
thank you. Yes.
So
Yeah. I mean, if you'd like to come back on at another time, maybe after the book is out, and just kind of get, I'm sure that people are going to reach out to you and tell you their stories and kind of like want to engage with you somehow. So I'm just curious to know how that would go after the book is out for a while and you have, people talking to you and what the feedback is and everything. So yeah, that'd
don't you
be
keep me. We're joined at the hip now, Ronnie.
okay. Great. That's awesome. All right.
Definitely,
Yeah,
and we're gonna. This is a great platform, and I really appreciate you.
sure.
And wow, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So much success. I
Thank
really do.
you.
It will. It's gonna work. It's gonna work out. You watch.
I'm just putting my head down and just doing it. I'm tired of talking about it, and
Right.
we're just doing it. That's what you have to do. You just have to do
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Awesome.